Good evening. My name's Ed Kimball, and I'm Chairman of the Rockland Board of Selectmen. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And the pursuit of Amazon is what I'm calling it. With us tonight, we have members of the Abington Board of Selectmen and their town manager. Their town manager is Rick LaFond. Members of the board are Ken Coyle, Robert Manning, Andy Burbine, Tom Connolly, and Alex Bezenson, if I didn't slaughter that too much, hopefully. Okay. From the town of Weymouth, we have Councilor Mike Smart, which the base actually covers his district. We also have TJ Lacey, and we have Mayor Bob Hedlund, who's running a few minutes late. He was detained on another matter, but he's on his way. For Rockland, I have myself. We have our vice chair, Mike Mullen, who's up front. We have Michael Laughlin, Larry Ryan, and Deidre Hall, and our town administrator, Alan Chalker, here. We also like to thank Dave Murphy, who's going to be filming tonight, and he'll make this available for everybody to take a look at, and it'll be on the town's website as soon as possible. Also in the audience, we have from the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, we have Eric Dykeman. We have Eric Miller from the Neighborhood Association. And for L-Star, I believe we'll have Matt Barry presenting tonight. And for the SRA committee, we have Lindsay Cruiser in the audience. We have Tom Henderson, Kelly O'Brien McKinnon, our reps. We have Chris, Parmiano. And we also have our selection, our recent selection, Dave Rubin, and for that joint pick. As we all know, the purpose of tonight is to send a clear message to Amazon that we would like to have Amazon or like corporations join us in Union Point, as it's now called. Union Point's been a project that all three communities have been working diligently on over the course of many years, and I think we're at the cusp of actually having great things coming and a change. Union Point is ready for development. We want to show that we're business friendly. We want to show that we're willing to support Amazon or any other corporation that wants to come in, and we want them to be good neighbors, and we want to be good stewards for them. And at the same time, we want to have a long-term partnership with anybody who's willing to come in and invest in Union Point. The economic benefits and the community impacts that'll be out there for all three communities will be very significant in the future to help us all grow and continue the good work we're all doing in our communities. I know that Rockland's had the fortunate ability to go through and build this new school recently, a few years back. I know that Abington just opened their new school, so I congratulate them on that. And I know that Weymouth is working on some field improvements over there now. So it's good to see that all three communities are growing, vibrant, and we have a lot to offer in the South Shore, and I think we need to get that message out to Amazon and to other prospects who might be looking to come live with us, come become part of our community, whether that's in the towns of Abington, Rockland, or Weymouth. We all have the same goal here. Amazon's a very large company, and I've had a lot of people approach me and ask what we think our shots are at getting Amazon. And what I told people, if we don't put our welcome ad out, we're never going to have a visitor. We're never going to have anyone come take a look. So tonight's really about making sure that we can welcome somebody to come, take a look, join us, partner with us to make the project successful, not only for themselves, but for our communities. And the South Shore, in my opinion, is up and coming because it's one of the few places in the region that has available land. It has housing that's affordable. It has the home life for a lot of people. We have great public schools in our communities. We have a lot of things to offer Amazon as well. We have close proximity to the major airport. We have close proximity to higher education. The healthcare in Massachusetts is by far the best in the country. And we have a vibrant economic economy that has been able to withstand the recession and is starting to bounce back heavily now where other parts of the country didn't have that ability. So I think Boston, at least for me, is the preference for Amazon. I don't think there's a better location personally. Boston was really the start of it all. That's where America started. And well, I should say Plymouth, but we really want them here in Union Point. So, but all kidding aside, I think Boston is a world-class city, and I think having a worldwide leader, corporate leader such as Amazon, come to us and at least look at us and possibly join us is something that is very exciting for all of us. So, with that, I'm going to open it up to Matt Berry from L-Star Ventures to give a quick recap and presentation. And then from there, I'd introduce the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, the Mayor of Weymouth to come up, say some words on behalf of their respective towns. And then we can open it up to some discussion from the audience. And if there's any questions directed to either town, if the member of the audience could just ask who the question is going to be directed towards so we can have somebody from each town respond accordingly. And again, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I know it's tough to get all three towns together, but I think that shows, you know, that we're all unified in our quest for Amazon. So thank you again, and Matt.
Thank you, Eddie. Really, what I'm here to do is not only explain the opportunity, but express on behalf of everyone at L-Star how appreciative we are of all the work that's gone into being ready for this opportunity. I think there's a lot of communities around the United States that are very excited about this opportunity, and they're beginning the work that these three communities in the state started 2 or 3 years ago. We've been part of the community for a period of time, but we really clearly understand what this community, these three communities have come together to provide. And as we went down through the list of what Amazon was asking for, it was really surprising, and it was exciting for us because it's really the work that has been done over the last 3 years that answers many of those questions. There's a request to build 500,000 square feet. It needs to be pad ready, the utilities need to be there, the zoning needs to be there. Check that box. That was done by all three towns through the zoning process and through the extension of the utilities and the infrastructure work that was done beforehand. Access to commuter rail, mass transit to a major metropolitan area, major city. The commuter rail is open. It's been functioning for a period of time. The access to the highways is really the connection point that was completed by the Parkway. That was really a first and really clear public-private partnership that L-Star was able to participate in. And so it really, to us, a lot of the preparation work is not a promise that a lot of communities are going to make and a lot of the competitors, even locally, are making. It's work that is already done. And we're incredibly appreciative of what tonight symbolizes, what Chairman Kimball talked about and what this meeting represents for Amazon. Amazon wants to know if they'll be welcomed by the community. Every developer, and I can guarantee you, will be telling Amazon they'll be welcomed. And that doesn't mean anything to Amazon. What they've asked for and what they've reached out to are the local communities. They don't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear from Kyle. They don't want to hear from L-Star. They want to hear from each of the boards of selectmen, the mayor, and the town council. Will they be welcomed? Do you want them here? Because they want to come and be part of a community. And so tonight's meeting is really quite remarkable in a statement back that only you could choose to make. Only by gathering here tonight collectively could you choose to make that statement back as clearly as you have. And in the package and the proposal that we're putting together, we hope we'll give due credit to all the great work that's been done over a period of time. Because a lot of communities and a lot of developers will make a lot of promises. What this community, these three towns, and the state of Massachusetts has done in preparing this site is work that's been done. It's a partnership that's been formed. It's work that all of the three communities have been doing together for a long period of time. And so, don't tell me what you're going to do, tell me what you've done. And these three communities really have done an amazing job over the last 3-4 years in preparing this site for this opportunity. And it's quite remarkable how exactly, how the decisions made by each of your boards, by the SRA board and by the town council and mayor of Weymouth have really positioned this property in a way that we don't take credit for. This is something that's been asked of the towns. You've prepared this site. You're ready for it. You're ready for this opportunity, and we're very excited to be your partner in pursuing Amazon. Amazon is very exciting, but I think this statement on a national stage really opens the door to every other opportunity. Every site selector in the United States is paying attention to who makes the short list. And whoever makes the short list will be the firm, be the locations for every other tech company to follow what Amazon does. So we're as appreciative as can be. We're really every day working as hard as we can to earn the opportunity that you've provided to us. And we're as excited as can be about submitting this application and what the next steps will be as we all pursue Amazon together. Would you want me to turn it over, Eddie, to Mayor Hedlund? Mayor Hedlund, thank you again on behalf of everyone from L-Star. We're very appreciative of this opportunity.
Thanks, Ed, and thanks, Matt. And I think Eddie covered everything pretty well. And it's interesting that here in New England, we don't really have a strong regional kind of forms of government. I remember when the proposed Mills Mall was being floated for this site, which is further evidence of many of the stops and starts we've had with the reuse of the airbase. But a number of us local officials were flown down to Virginia to look at one of the malls that Mills had built down there. We met with county development officials who talked about their process, where the Mills Corporation would walk in and the county development officer laid out roads and handed them permits and a couple of sit-downs. And sometimes I think the struggle is a little tougher in New England given the strong municipal form of government that we have here. But nonetheless, I think the level of cooperation that we are seeing unfold here is something that we can be proud of. I know that Eddie and I have spent a lot of time together this week, and I'm learning some of the better breakfast joints in Rockland now as a result. But I do appreciate that cooperation that we're seeing, and I think this is an incredible opportunity that Ed talked about and laid out here. I don't know if Matt, in terms of specifics, the one thing that I've been telling people that people don't realize that 18%, Amazon would utilize 18% of the developable land at this site. So I think there's kind of an impression out there that this could possibly overwhelm us. But I think it's a great fit. And we've had a couple of delays along the way, and maybe that was meant to be if this actually happens the way we hope this unfolds. So we're learning a lot in this process, reading a lot in newspapers about potential sites, but I'm convinced that if Amazon is real about the Northeast and is real about Massachusetts, and that if we're in play, this is the site that works. So I want to thank everyone that has got us to this point, and I guess I'm here more or less as an observer because you guys actually have some work to do tonight. So I'll thank both boards of selectmen, representatives of Abington who journeyed over to Weymouth. Was it this week or last week? I guess last week for one of the meetings. And I know that we have a bunch of the SRA board members here. I want to thank them. And as Eddie reminded us in one of the meetings this week, you guys are volunteers. I guess I'm paid now. So it's part of the job to head off to these meetings. So I want to thank the local officials who give of their time and have assisted in this process. So thanks for inviting me up to the microphone, and thanks for having me over to Rockland. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Ken, would you like to come up and say some words on behalf of Abington?
Thank you. Ken Coyle, Chairman of the Abington Board of Selectmen. I actually didn't know I was going to speak, and I'm not the best speaker in the world, but through the hard work of the three communities, I know we're like the baby brother. We've only got 10% of the property, but through the hard work of the three towns, I think this Union Point is custom made for large companies like Amazon and what it entails and what it will bring to the three towns. And Abington will surely welcome, and we look forward to making the people that work for Amazon and people that the support service for Amazon make a fabric of our community, a vibrant community. As was stated earlier, Abington has a new school. We have a lot to offer too, so we look forward to having Amazon come to Abington and Union Point. Thank you.
And I also want to mention that we have another SRA member in the audience, Mr. Bob Brizzi, who is the labor representative for the SRA. And I know that labor is very interested in seeing some development and whatnot going on over there, so it's nice to see that he's here tonight. If you'd be kind enough, Lindsay, if you'd like to say a few words on behalf of the SRA. Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie. On behalf of the SRA, we're really excited about this opportunity for the reasons that a lot of you have outlined tonight. It's not only a great possibility to pitch Amazon so that we may be able to bring them to our three communities, but also so that we really get on the list for other amazing projects coming forward. You know, as the SRA, we see our role as bringing the development to the communities for the benefit of the three communities, and we really just want to be here to facilitate that happening. So we're looking forward to working with all of you on this project and on many projects to come so that we can have a vibrant redevelopment of Union Point that benefits all of the parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Eric, would you like to speak on behalf of the chamber and what this would mean for the chamber? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Dyckman from the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, and we are very excited about this opportunity and this project. We want to thank all three of the communities for their hard work. I think it's very important for this project because it does involve three jurisdictions that all three communities are seen as working together, and you certainly have done that, and you have a book of work to demonstrate that you have done that, and I think that's a powerful message. I think the other area we're excited about is that this pitch, not just for Amazon, I think a couple of speakers have already alluded to it, but it's also a pitch that would be attracted to lots of different businesses. So it's not just for Amazon, but it's a message sent out to the site selectors and other corporations that Union Point is in play. It is interesting, it is vibrant, and I think that that's an important message to have out there too. So for those reasons, we're very excited to support this project and this proposal, and look forward to seeing how it progresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. The other reason for all three communities to get together tonight was so that we could actually support and endorse a letter from all three communities that we could actually attach in the package that L-Star is going to present to Amazon. I know a lot of people have seen a letter. I know they have a letter. I mean, we can discuss that shortly, but that's another thing. Well, you know, if we have enough time, I know that my board has prior engagement, so I'm going to take some short questions from the audience first, so we can discuss it, and then we can revisit the letter that everyone, I believe, has seen, so we can go through and hopefully all vote unanimously to support Amazon coming in. We can hopefully get that signed tonight and attach it with the package. So I'm going to open up to the audience. Anybody in the audience have any questions regarding attracting Amazon? Mike?
Thank you, Eddie. I know I had a look at the cover letter, the sample, or the draft, and I know I had spoken with Council Lacey, we had and the mayor as well, that we had a couple of suggestions, just to remove the term Boston and use another term in there, because I think that's one of the competitors that Union Point is going up against, and the three towns are going up against. So we're saying, take a look at Union Point, but we're referencing the city of Boston, which is also in play to get Amazon. So just one suggestion, I don't know if that was picked up or if that was relayed. It was this afternoon that we were on a conference, and I'm not sure if that got changed or not, but that would just be one suggestion I had.
I'm open to any ideas that's going to attract Amazon here. I think the only reference,
It was, I think it was, Eddie, it was referenced twice. I have not had a chance to speak with Elstar yet, but
I think the reference was Amazon in their RFP had put a request out that they're in an area that has 1 million+ residents. So the only area that we have, other than another competitor city west of here, would be Boston. So I think what happened was there was a few drafts that I seen back and forth, and somebody had added just outside of Boston versus, we'll say some other term. Now, I am open to anybody, any suggestions, because obviously, we all want to show our support for Amazon. We want them to come here. We want them to be part of our community. We want them to be our new neighbors. So we need,
I think it said Union Point south of Boston, which if they're buying for Boston, why would they want to say, oh, we'd rather be south of Boston? I just suggested another term, that's all.
I'm
If we
open.
can come up with another term.
Larry?
You know, I had heard Matt say, we get a plan, or we get a presentation we're gonna do. We wanna make sure we put all three towns, what we, you know, not only what Elstar wants in their presentation, but what it means to us. I mean, what are we willing to give, you know, give to them to bring them here? You know, there's mitigations and there's all sorts of things where you say, you know, we'll give you this for that, if you come here, TIFs and the whole 9 yards. I mean, is the presentation gonna cover all that particular, every aspect of it, so that when we present them the first time, we wanna make sure if we're gonna throw out a piece of bait, we want it to be the best looking bait in the group, if you will, so to have all the different, status of each individual town and the whole 9 yards, have the tax breaks or anything we're gonna offer them in that first package.
Well,
I'm not quite sure what, you know, I heard that you guys are gonna make the presentation, and then we're in here sort of to, you know, agree that we want the whole business to go. We want this place, and I don't know if there's anybody in the room who doesn't want it, but I mean, so we want to present our best play. You know, we want the play that's gonna win the game, if you will, of them coming here.
Well,
You know, we got a few little things in our bags, but, you know, the outside of Boston thing, we're right on the T, we're right on the highway. Housing for the employees, they're not gonna wanna, get condos in town or anything, because it's gonna cost them too much money. They're gonna look for, areas surrounding this area that have decent housing and affordable schooling and variables of private and public schools and that sort of business. So we have to sell that aspect of it, that, you know, we got the wide open space, so to speak, with connections to where the big city, if we need to even mention them at all. And
Well,
go from there. I just,
well, let me take a step back a little bit. What has happened, we've had a couple of meetings, and in the meetings, it was suggested that we go through, I mean, Amazon obviously knows what the region has to offer. Amazon obviously knows that we have great colleges here. We have great education. What they don't know is what the difference is going to be for them to be in Union Point. So we have to convey that message somehow. The fact of the matter is, we are really part of the greater Boston suburb. That's where we are. And I don't think, personally, I know Boston has some sites. I work in Boston every day, and I'm not going to disrespect Boston by any means, but I personally feel, and I may be biased, but I think Union Point's the best location for Amazon. We're ready for Amazon. We want Amazon. We're ready to build. We have infrastructure in place. We've already showed cooperation between all three communities. We've already showed partnership with the state. We've got a two-phase parkway that was put in place by the state in order to make this an economic engine for the area. The base, although they were a great neighbor and we need our security and whatnot, we also need to know that we can survive beyond the base. And I think we've demonstrated that. The fact that we've have the ability, have three towns change legislation to make it more business friendly. The fact that we've been able to go through and actually have the parkway built. The fact that we actually have buildings and people living there now. The fact that we have some fields going in over there now. The fact that the base is up and coming and it's being talked about by everybody. There was an article in the Globe today, and it said Weymouth area that straddles Abington and Rockland. Well, the base was once known as the South Weymouth Naval Air Station, okay? And it's always been known as the South Weymouth Naval Air Station. And then it became Southfield. And then with a changing of ownership and a lot of input from the three communities, it became Union Point. And Union Point, you know, their logo says up, so everyone likes to say, what's up? Well, what's up? We're up. We're the new thing. We're the new neighborhood. We're the new up-and-coming neighborhood. You take a look at some areas around the city. Years ago, I worked in the area just outside the seaport. There was nothing there. Today, the seaport, you can't even get a spot over in the seaport. That's what Union Point's going to be. Union Points is going to be that. And it's going to be that because we have so much to offer. Not only can we offer Amazon the ability to build a facility from the ground up that would be unprecedented, a facility that would be into the future, but we also have that hometown feeling we can provide for their employees. Because people go to work to support their families, but at the end of the day, they're here for their families, and they all provide a service. But we have great public schools, okay? We all have great public schools, okay? We have public transportation. Yeah, we have a commuter rail, but that commuter rail also comes up from, not just from Abington into Weymouth, but it comes up from further south. So it has the ability to bring people from out the region up here. Everyone's looking at Boston. Yes, we're south of Boston, but there's also more south of us. And I think that also gives us an edge because we're close to other areas that are more affordable for living, for these people to raise their families. I know that our tax rates are a lot less than Boston. I know that the cost of housing, the cost of living is a lot less. And Amazon in their RFP is going to provide high-paying jobs. Well, anybody knows who has a family, you still have to stretch your dollar. You still have to make things work. You want to be in a community that provides services and goods for your residents. And the basis of having a good tax rate, the basis of offering things, is so that we can go through and have these good things in the community environment. It wasn't too long ago when everyone put all their, we'll say, all their hope into a project over there that unfortunately timing was off and it didn't happen. And it left a lot of the towns in disarray because we were counting on it. Well, we don't, as much as I hate to say this, we're not counting on it, but we want to partner with them. We want them to be successful so that we can be successful. And successful is so that we can provide things for our community. I mean, since the new developers have taken over, we've had food truck rodeos over there. They're very small and simple, but it draws a lot of people. It gets community spirit there. It allows people to come together and bond. It allows people to communicate and talk about things. I mean, when Bob Hedlund mentioned earlier about regional, I mean, we were never really considered regional. I mean, we have regional vo-tech schools, but we're not considered regional like some of these other people. And my belief is that Abington, Rockland, and Weymouth are going to be a force to reckon with on the South Shore. If Amazon chooses not to come here, well, then it's their loss, in my opinion, because I'm highly confident that this is the best location by far on the East Coast. Amazon already has a location in Seattle, which can get them out to the west. And they're still building in Seattle. If you Google Seattle Times, they're still building, they're still leasing, they're still hiring, okay? And it was alluded to the fact earlier that Amazon would compromise approximately 18% of the developable land over there, okay? We have much more to offer, and we also have to understand that this is going to be a phased progressive growth. So needs change, things change. So back to your question about commitments and looking for incentives, we're hoping to partner with the state because the state right now is taking a hands-off approach that they don't want to cherry pick one site. They want Amazon to pick the site, and then the state is going to then, at that point, they're going to offer incentives to draw Amazon here as well, whether those are in the form of infrastructure improvements, whether those are in the form of TIFs and things like that. This is a win-win, not only for Abington, Rockland, Weymouth, it's a win-win for the entire South Shore and the entire state of Massachusetts. I mean, this is going to draw people to our state, it's going to draw people to our region, and you know, whether you agree with the fact that Boston's putting their hand in, I've looked at the sites, and I know that the sites do not have the ability that we have in Union Point for what we put in place so that they can go through and they can be shovel-ready in as little as 30 to 65 days for a permit. There's no other place across the region that can do that. We've done that because we put people in policies and procedures in place to draw development. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we need to do. This is how we help build our communities, and we make them part of the community. And Amazon, I mean, when they first started, nobody really gave a lot of thought to it. I read another article. You take Sears and Roebuck, okay? Sears and Roebuck grew very similar to how Amazon grew. They were mail order versus the internet. They made it very convenient for people, and they carried everything. And if you take a step into the future now we're 100 years plus forward, Amazon's done that with the invention of the internet, and now they're also pursuing other means to make delivery. And you look around, you talk about Google. Now we Google information so we can find it. Years ago, there was no Google. We have reporters in the room. It was all by the newspaper, okay? And then it would take them a couple of days to hear about news. Now everything's instantaneous with social media. It's out there. It's there. I mean, Amazon already knows, in my opinion, what they have to offer. What they don't know is how supportive a community will be. And I feel personally that this demonstration tonight, and I thank everyone again for giving up time away from their families, will exemplify the fact that we're all trying and we want to work together and partner to make not only Amazon successful, but we want to make our communities more successful for our residents who are here. I'll get you in a sec, Eric. We have an opportunity here that Amazon's going to provide jobs in the future. Anybody that comes over there is going to provide jobs in the future, and they're higher paying jobs. I know myself, I've had kids who've gone to college, and they have good jobs, and now I'm recently been told I'm going to be a grandfather, which is a great thing. But what that does for you, it makes you really want to dig in and make sure that we can create something for not only for our children, but for our grandchildren, and have a legacy that the community can build off of. I mean, I don't want to say it's a coming of age type of thing, but it really is, because the older you get, the more mature you think about, because we've had a lot of people throughout all our communities who've laid the groundwork for certain things. And I feel that if we don't take this opportunity and seize it and show Amazon that we want to be pioneers with them. We want to go, and we want to go where no one else has gone, and we want to build something that everyone else is going to be envious of. And I think that's what Union Point can be. I really do. And I think with the work of everybody in this room who's already demonstrated it, whether you talk to people from our open space committee, which with the open space over there, I mean, that's very attractive for Amazon. Their employees, if they want to go out at lunchtime, if they want to walk, if they want to enjoy the outdoors, not only for the employees, but the residents, our communities can utilize those same benefits. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, and It's something we've all been working very hard for many years. I mean, some of us, we've had some brief conversations before this meeting, and it's going back, 17, 20 years that we've all been involved to get us to this point. So when Matt had talked about a lot of communities are behind us, yeah, they're really behind us in time, because if Amazon wants to be here, we're ready. We can build, we can start building. If this RFP goes in for the 19th, if they make a decision, I know they said not till 2018, but if they make a decision, we can be building well before 2018. We could start the building process right away. And I don't think any other community, any other site, any other location in the country has that ability. And it's a blank slate. We have things that are in the queue ready to go, but the beauty of that, anything can be shifted around. Anything can be moved to make it work. And we have that flexibility, and we have the fact that we all have working relationships with the developer, with the SRA through our members, with our community, and we have a lot of advocates in the community who, way back when, were naysayers. Those naysayers are now some of the biggest cheerleaders for this project. And it's encouraging to see people here to come out and support our efforts to try to pursue and land Amazon, okay? So I appreciate that, and if I could get a copy of that draft that was circulating, maybe I can read that aloud and then kind of tell us where we're going, and if we can. So we have a letter that's been circulating. Okay. We have a letter that's been circulating. It's addressed to the Office of Economic Development for Amazon. And the gist of the letter says, "Dear Amazon, welcome to Union Point. We've been expecting you. With the big vision and ingenuity of our master developer, L-Star Ventures, we have created an unequaled opportunity for Amazon's HQ2 within a culturally rich, talent-filled, easily accessible, walkable, urban environment just outside of Boston. Union Point not only meets or exceeds every criteria set for Headquarters 2 ideal site and building requirements. In fact, we believe you won't find a better location with development and business-friendly structures in place to build a celebrated and transformational workplace and campus of the future for your new family of future employees. Union Point's established zoning and 30-day permitting process makes the expeditious commencement of construction a proven reality. As leaders of Union Point and its investing communities, we are committed to partnering with Amazon, L-Star, state officials to develop support and pass an incentive package that reflects and enhances the economic and community impact HQ2 will have on our region and our residents. Everything that's gone in the creation of Union Point has been done with a think big, reinvent the status quo, move forward creatively, zeal. We are already building it. Now we welcome and invite you, Amazon, to join in our partnership on HQ2 Quest as a member of our greater Boston community and experience the difference of Union Point. We thank you for the opportunity and your consideration, and we look forward to becoming your long-term HQ community partners. And again, this is a draft letter that's circulated. It's signed sincerely by the chairman of Southfield Redevelopment Authority, if we take a vote tonight, the mayor, Robert Hedlund of Weymouth, myself, as chair of Auckland Board of Selectmen, and as the chair of the Abington Board of Selectmen, Ken Coyle. I do want to point out, though, if we establish a vote to do this, I myself, we have to open our meeting, and I know Abington would have to do that. It's a joint meeting, so if we're going to take a vote, we'll need to open a meeting. I don't know what you folks think about the letter. I know that I had seen it after a couple of different draft versions, and I think sometimes the simple things say more than trying to get too much out there. Eric?
Hi, Rick Collins with the Abington Planning Board. First, I'm really pleased to see everyone coming together to work on this. It's a great opportunity for all of us. Two-part question. The first is, could someone maybe from Union Point or Mayor Hedlund himself explain what the specific asks are from Amazon to the host communities? And second, what other metrics will they be measuring the RFPs? What are they going to be judging the responses on?
Yeah, I can do that. Do you want to do it, or do you want me to?
You can fill in the holes, but I'll just respond since Rick is a former staffer of mine.
It's incestuous no matter where you go.
Seem to emphasize formal, Mr.
No, I think if you look at Amazon's RFP, and obviously this is an initial stage, most of what, and I think we quantify it, probably 90% of what they are looking for, we have completed with this site thus far. You know, they're looking at what, correct me if I'm wrong now, Matt, but site assemblage, permitting, you know, basically like what is the capacity for the site to accommodate us in terms of shovel readiness, et cetera, et cetera. So I think, we don't want, I think the letter accomplishes what it needs to accomplish, and that is to demonstrate that the three towns support this process moving forward and support the application that's going with it, which is, I don't know, how many pages on that?
The application, so the paper application, I think is close to 100 pages, but the online application has videos and testimonials and other letters, so it's much longer.
And if I can just use, since I have the floor here just for a second to respond to Mike's comments about
Certainly.
the reference to Boston, and, you know, we look at, it says greater Boston, we're greater than Boston, so I get nervous when I see greater Boston. But there's a reference to greater Boston, and then there's another reference where it says just outside Boston, which almost, maybe in a way is contradictory, I don't know, but maybe I'm being too nitpicking with this, but maybe we can kind of clarify that or make that a little more consistent, maybe just reference metropolitan Boston in both of those.
You can use South Shore in both of those also.
Yeah, either or.
South Shore.
I'm fine the way it is, but if that's something for the board to consider, just to clarify, I'm fine with that.
I'm open to suggestions from,
What's interesting is the way we look at Boston is different than the way that everyone else in the country looks at Boston. If you look at Seattle, if we use the Seattle city limits, we would be in Seattle. And so what's interesting is when we go through with site selectors and talk about Eastern Massachusetts, they think of it all as Boston. And so, you know, and if we settled the country from west to east instead of east to west, it may all have been Boston. Because you could fit LA over the top of almost all of the South Shore. And so people think of this as being Boston. We want to affiliate it with Boston. We want to make sure that they're thinking of that, because the key that Amazon's looking for is a workforce. And they're looking for a workforce that comes out of universities. And the major universities are in Boston and Cambridge. But most of the time, when you talk about the major universities, people say Boston. They don't even say Cambridge. We know it's Cambridge. We know it's Cambridge. We know it's outside of Cambridge. We know some of them are in, Medford and, Wellesley. And so those are all things that are very important and make a lot of sense to us. So locally, but when you're thinking about it from the other side of the country, the closer we are to Boston, the more likely it is to make it to the second round with that affiliation. Everything that we're committing to is sharing the history of the space. It's sharing the demographics, it's sharing the information, the proximity to the airport, the quality of the universities, the quality of the workforce. So when we're doing a large application, it's the information that everyone in this room already knows. But we want to be clear that it's highlighted. We've also taken the extra steps of showing their campus. So when we say it takes up 18% of the land, we actually have the physical footprint of every one of their buildings. And so it's named the way they named them on the site, if they went ahead and built it identically, so that they can really picture their campus right here at Union Point. So those are the things, as well as testimonials from other large local businesses, from colleges and universities, from the firms that have already committed to come as well, so that there's a real commitment, so that they understand it's a real location. And that's really what we're focused on.
So are there any specific asks of the host communities in terms of economic development, tax incentives, anything just that we should know about?
No, I mean, Amazon's asked. I think the letter answers on behalf of the towns. We don't have to on behalf of the towns. And then we, go forward. The state's putting together their own package, which answers in their own way. And then, we're working with them on the incentives that we can provide. And so Amazon is this a community that will welcome them and their aspirations? And I think right tonight and in this letter, there's a resounding yes, and that's what's important as a message back.
Now, do you say that there is incentives being offered?
Well, I don't know what the state's package will be.
Well, you said that you can offer, so that Union Point can offer. I don't have a problem, I just curious what we're talking about, that's all.
For us,
Yeah.
a lot of the incentives, we've talked about, for the speed
Fast
to market, the permitting process, the connection being already available to the utilities, so a lot of those are in comparison to what other locations.
I think I can offer a little bit more on that as well. We've had a couple of roundtable talks about what to offer and what not to offer. And what we opted to do was to go through and we'll hold a press conference on the 19th after the submissions are in, because we don't want to tip our hand to other communities who are actually pursuing Amazon as well. So the body of the letter says that we're going to work and be committed to Amazon to help with the state, and not only with our state, local officials, but actually with our federal officials at some point as well. I mean, we're going to try to do whatever we can to bring prosperity back to that area. And this is just the start. We're hoping to make it to the next round. Amazon had an 8-page RFP. They were looking for all sorts of data. They were looking for data on our school-age children. They were looking for crime data. They were looking for all sorts of other things. Those things are very easily done and packaged together. We have that. But the other thing, Amazon, that I read between the lines was they were looking for a community who wants them here. Because I believe that has anybody knows there's growing pains. And I think there's some growing pains in Seattle right now. And I think you're having a little bit of over Amazon in Seattle. So I think they've recognized that, and I think they're very astute in recognizing that they need to have a second headquarters. They're worldwide. They could have picked anywhere to go. They've already attracted people from the West Coast to Seattle. I think the most logical step for them would be someplace on the East Coast. And looking at the other cities that are mentioned in newspapers or Googling other communities throughout the Eastern Seaboard, I think there's none far better than here in Massachusetts personally. And again, I'm biased for Union Point because we've put so much time and effort in making this successful, but we've actually put things in place for future generations. I mean, there's been a lot of hard work here done, and it's for the future. I'm 54. 15, 20 years from now, when Amazon's here, hopefully I'm still around, okay? Bob?
I'll try to answer Rick more directly without being too direct. But Weymouth has very limited experience with any tips. I think if we go back, the only prior to ProDrive, the only experience we had was many, many years ago. Weymouth Woods, Lee Parkway, and things didn't pan out on that. I think the developer didn't fulfill some commitment. So our experience was very limited. When we went through the process with ProDrive, we learned a lot from the state. The state kind of held our hand throughout that process. We looked at other recent tips from around the state, around the region, and what we ended up with in that process was something that I was very comfortable with. The council and Councilor Smart and Lacey here went through the process of approving that. It was by no means one of the more generous ones that has occurred in the state, and the benefit from that was much more significant than many of the examples we looked at, I think. So we've had that little bit of experience, and I think there's an expectation from what the market realities are and what I picked up in a recent conversation I had with Secretary Ash, that there's going to be an expectation that they're going to want some kind of tax incentive. But I don't think that is, certainly if you look at their request, it's not a major driver, but I think it's something that's expected in that process. You can find with any major company, I think, nowadays.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I have members, and that's the reason we're posting at 6 o'clock. We have to go. Mr. Mayor, there's a major fire. I've just been texted in Weymouth. Are you aware?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if you have to deal with that.
No, I left my hazmat suit, my helmet.
Rockland is
alarms at this point?
I do not, 2 alarms,
Fennell Drive.
so,
On Fennell Drive.
Mr. Chairman, on behalf of our board, I'm Mike Mullen, Vice Chair for everyone else in the audience. I first of all just want to thank you for your work on behalf of our board, especially over the past few weeks and days for all your work in terms of the intricacies on this. I realize that a lot of the conversations and the work going forward, hopefully when we are successful, will depend on a continued set of negotiations and dialogue to figure a lot more of the details and intricacies out. But I'll make a motion that our board do support the letter, like from the Rockland perspective. I agree with everything in the letter. I think it really conveys what the hope and promise of Union Point is all about. So I'll make that motion on behalf of the Rockland board, and so hopefully we can get moving and have a project that will reap a lot of benefits for the 3 of our communities.
Do we have a second?
Mr.
Can
Chairman,
we open, we have to open the meeting first?
Yeah.
we're open when we met.
When we met? Second.
All those in favor? That's a unanimous vote. Thank you. Abington, I don't know if you want to do anything now or still continue. Mr. Rizzi, you had a question?
I'd like to offer one thing. As you know, sometimes in a project this size, the developer has to have a level of confidence that we have the manpower and highly skilled manpower and a long history of bringing jobs on time, on budget in this area. When you're looking to develop a project of that size, you have to have a workforce that's able to produce this. And we have that.
And I, as a member of that workforce, entirely agree with you.
Work anymore.
I'm working for
Eddie's
everybody
always
right now. So, yes, I agree. I think we have one of the most highly skilled and trained forces in the area. And I think if we talk to our brotherhood and sisterhood throughout Seattle, they can convey that message for us as well, directly to Amazon, because they in turn are working for them on projects as we speak. Anybody else? Mike?
yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow up, I agree with what Matt had said about that Boston is considered a community, but I think, just bear with me, you're sending a mixed message. You're saying that you're in the community, but in the first paragraph, you're indicating that you're just outside of Boston. So I know I'm harping on it, but we only have one shot at the cover letter.
You're right.
So I think that if you just amend it to say something that you are within the metropolitan Boston area or something like that. I don't want to take Boston out. I agree with you that it does bring notoriety to, our hospitals, our colleges, our international airports, and so on. So, Matt, your message is correct, but you're saying that you're outside of that area. So, if we just correct that, I would be perfectly fine with that, and I will stop bringing up the paragraph. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have no issue with that. I mean, we all want to convey the fact that we have a lot to offer.
Right.
Excuse me, maybe perhaps it should be within the metropolitan
Perfect.
area.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
So urban environment within the metropolitan Boston area? Does that suffice for everybody? Everybody in agreement? My board okay with that? Thank you.
How about
Mr.
that? We mentioned that we have, not only the major medical area in Boston, but that part of that major medical area, the South Shore Hospital, which is only a hop, skip, and a broken finger away, where you're gonna get all your work done with the same confidence you would if you had to go to Boston, and at least they would get you well prepared for that. So I think that, mentioning that we have a major hospital in Weymouth that's affiliated with Boston in a strong way through partners or whatever group they're in, I guess, and it's gotta be a help, because it's that close to us and a lot less hassle to get to.
I think sometimes, because we all live here, we actually don't realize what we have in our own backyards. And there's a lot of great things we have in our backyards that we all take for granted until we need them. It was just mentioned that we have, we're actually helping aid with mutual aid Weymouth. Those are things we take for granted. If we had an incident, we know that Abington would be there for us and Weymouth would be there for us. So we take a lot of things for granted, and I think sometimes we overlook that. And I think that's something we may have to point out to Amazon as well, that there's a lot of things that the communities interact with, not only on the level of Union Point, but in all other aspects of the community. I know we have coverage from time to time with Abington. They'll cover for us, make ambulance calls. We do the same thing for them. You talked about the incident tonight. That's something that it's unexpected, but again, we all lend a hand and we all help one another. Although sometimes we're very competitive with one another, but where things are going to be built. But Amazon is such a large prospect. I think there's enough for everybody to go around, not only within Union Point, but all the ancillary uses are going to happen and be developed from it. We look at, you talk about the hospital. Well, if there's more people in the region, they're going to need more nurses, more doctors. They're going to need to expand again. They've expanded many times already. We take a look at grocery stores. We take a look at schools. Our school's new. We're looking to build a new elementary school now. We'd love to have people's, the families of Amazon's children living in Rockland, growing up here, and sending their kids to our schools. We want to be part of that. And I think a lot of us know so much about Boston, we take for granted what everyone thinks about Boston, this area. You know, I tell my wife, because I work in Boston a lot, and she says, you never want to take me in there. It's like, it's a beautiful city, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like being home, you know? And, you know, if I could, I'd like to click my heels together so we can all go home on the journey. But again, it's something that we all take for granted because we are so close to the best medical care. We're so close to the best schools. We're close to a major airport. We're close to, we think nothing of hopping on a tee or going in so we can see a world-class sports team. We have 4 teams, okay, that's something else. We have a lot, I'm sure Amazon has many sports fans. Hopefully they'll soon be Patriots fans, Red Sox fans, Bruins fans, and Celtics fans, okay? And let me not forget about the Revolution if you're a soccer fan. But again, we have so much to offer that we take for granted because we grew up with it. And we have to convey that message that we want Amazon's new family of employees to grow up with us. Whether they came from here once, we want them back. We want their employees back. And we want them to grow up here, we want them to be part of our community, and I think that's what we're all trying to demonstrate tonight. I know my board has another commitment tonight, so in the effort of time, Mr. Coyle?
We've been in session since 6:15, and I'd like to entertain a motion from one of our board members to support the cover letter.
So moved.
The amended cover letter.
Yes, with the Metropolitan Morris.
Motion made and a second down the end. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you, we appreciate that. Lindsay?
We've also been in session as the Southfield Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors from 6:15, and I would also like to entertain a motion from one of my members.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to entertain a motion that we support the cover letter. We also authorize the chairperson to make any last-minute edits that may be needed. We'll authorize that with the amended letter.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
And on behalf of the town of Weymouth, we support the cover letter and eager to sign.
Well, I appreciate you all for coming out to support. I think it means a lot.